Welcome back to my Minecraft city, and today what I'm going to be doing is building a apartment building. So here's kind of a quick idea of what I do for somewhat more complicated buildings. For simple buildings like these, all these buildings over here, I don't really plan them out this hard. You know, they're all the same. It's just a square, very simple window setup and whatnot. But this is going to be a little different. So let me explain what I've done here. I basically laid the outline of what's going to be here as far as the building goes. So what we have is the red, which is the footprint outline of the building. The whole building's not going to be that size and shape, but it will take up that much area. So I've highlighted that square first so that I know that where I'm building this building, there's plenty of space for it. And just kind of get an idea of what it will look like in my city, just size-wise. So the yellow is the main outline of this building. Like I said, it's an apartment building. Every floor within the apartment building is going to have 4 separate units. So that's what these 4 yellow squares are right here. Those are all the units. Now, the reason there's this space between the yellow and the red is because these are going to be balconies. I'm going to do each floor is going to be like the actual height within the apartment units will be 7 blocks high. And, you know, so when you finally decorate them, you have all the space and options in the world. Now, if you wanted to build this and follow along, the red outline is 35 by 35 blocks long. I like to build a lot of my things in odd numbers so that I can find the exact dead center, which is what the blue is. That's the reason there's the cross and the yellow space between. These are going to be the hallways, so there will be a stairwell at the end of one of these that will allow you to access all the floors within the building. The hallways I've done 3 wide, and that's because if you know, these yellow parts are going to be walls. So these are all 3 wide, and it's the same thing with these balconies. They're going to be 3 wide, including this red, because there's going to be, this is where the edge of the building will be, so this is where the balcony will come to. But of course there will be a little glass railing type thing, so you're actually really going to just have these 2 squares of space between your wall and the railing of the building. Now, if you do want to follow along, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, you can choose whichever height you want for your building. It's going to be 8 blocks for every floor you do, because, like I said, there's going to be 7 blocks per floor. Then you got the ceiling, which will be the floor of the story that is above that. If you're following me so quick, I'm terrible with my words. So what's going to happen is the first thing I'm going to do is lay down a ground outline that will not count towards everything else as far as our building. So what I'm going to build this out of is white concrete and blue glass. That's mainly going to be all I'm going to use for this. So first I'm going to start with just the building outline. Yeah, ignore those jingles. That's my dog just being herself. Anyway, so I'm going to build the 1 block high outline of just the outside of this. I'm going to leave the walls on the inside alone for now. First thing I want to work on is the exterior of this building. That's probably the best idea for projects, because even if you don't get around to doing the inside of the building, at least the exterior doesn't look like shit. So now that we've got that 1 outline, everything beneath this is going to end up being our floor. Which means if you want to go 7 high, for example, let's just pretend these 4 blocks are the floor of our building, even though it'll be a different material than white concrete. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks high. This is going to be the height of the roof. And an 8th block is going to provide you with the floor slash ceiling. Ceiling for this unit, floor for this unit that will be up here. So you're going to have 7 blocks for each floor. That's why I said to add 8 for everyone that you're going to build. So, for example, I'm going to build 10 floors to this, just to show you. So it's going to be 80 high, But once again, that 80 high does not count this layer right here. It's going to be 80 on top of this. So just take whatever number of floors you want, multiply it by 8, and build up to there. I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and when I come back, I will have the building built 80 high, and then I'll come back and tell you kind of what we're going to do next. Alright, so this pillar that we have right here is 80 blocks high on top of that base layer that, once again, I'm not counting. So you can look at this one pillar that you've built that's going to be the height of your building and decide whether or not that's the actual height that you want your building to be. Remember, this building has a pretty big footprint, so it's going to end up looking, yeah, you know, pretty good sized, and it's going to be slightly intricate on the outside. It's not going to be a simple building such as that one right there that my crosshair's on. That's just a simple, boring building. This is not going to be like that. So what happens next is up to you. Of course, if you want to figure out how I'm going to do the windows and whatnot, you'll have to fast forward, because some people like to build their windows in advance. And for me, what I like to do is what you see over here. I build the entire building solid, and then I add the windows after. That's why there's windows here and no windows here, because as you saw in episode 1 of this, if you watched it, this is just one of my unfinished projects right there. So I'm going to fill this entire building in just solid. And what I do for that is super simple. I literally just spend some time going up and going down over and over again. And then afterwards, we'll cover adding the windows and whatnot. But if you're going to follow along directly with me, because what I'm going to do is cut out huge portions of this for windows, but I find that personally this is the quickest way to build it, because the whole going up and down process will take you maybe 10-15 minutes, something like that. It might take a little longer, give or take how fast you are. But I'm going to go ahead and fill this in, and I will be right back with you with this whole building just built solid. Alright, now I have the whole outside built, but there's actually a couple of corrections I need to make real quick. Hopefully you did start building already, but I didn't mention that this whole area in the one I'm going to be building anyways is going to be glass, and I think I already said I was going to do concrete. As you see, I've already done a little bit of the inside work, just trying to get an idea. That's another one of the mistakes I made, because I forgot last time I built this building in a different world. What I did was do a different color floor and ceiling. So what I did was do the ceiling too wide, kind of like this. So I was going to use jungle wood planks for the floor of every unit, but white concrete for the what would be the roof. I did the whole bottom down here in just light gray concrete, and the whole first floor is going to be what would be on the first floor of a typical apartment building. So you've got offices, whatnot, the lobby, everything that I will build down here. But and excuse that noise in the background, my truck's just starting up. Sorry I had to cut out there, a lot of noise going on. But what I was going to do is have jungle wood planks for the floor of every unit, and then white concrete for the ceiling, like I said. So the reason that I wanted to do it too wide was because, for example, right here, which is going to be the hallway where you can access the entrances to each individual unit, I don't know what I'm going to make the floor in the hallway out of, but for example, just use jungle wood planks right now, and then say that for the lights, you can use redstone lamps or sea lanterns, which are my favorite. You see them in most of my buildings, but so yeah, that way you can have it lit up, and they're flush with the ceiling. However, you cannot see them through the floor. So instead of 8 tall for every floor that you want to add on, it's actually 9 tall if you're following my build. And on top of that, I built this 80 high, so I need to add an extra 10 blocks, but that's something I'll probably take care of at the end. Now that we have the outside built, what I wanted to show you was what is going to eventually happen with all of this area right here. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the outside of it. Maybe do light gray concrete and fill all this in for the ground outside of it, be kind of like a sidewalk or whatever. But what's going to actually happen in the real units is, well, first thing that you might want to do, that I'm actually going to do, is mark every single floor by putting a 2-wide spot like that up the length of the entire building. So I will be right back after I do that. Alright, and I finally separated all the floors out by putting the beams between the windows where the floors will be. And now I want to show you what I'm going to do for every floor of the building. This is where I'm going to build the balconies for each apartment. So I'm just going to make it level with these beams that I just put between the windows. Now if you remember, it's 7 for each floor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oh shit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The first floor, of course, because it has this little buffer that I do not count, has 8. But after that, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 between each one. So it's going to be sets of 7 for all the windows, so they're even. But the first floor is going to be 8 tall because I did not count this buffer piece. So I'm going to go back to the balconies, extend them out by 3, which will make us level with the original red outline that I had. And I did end up filling this in light gray concrete. So I'm sure I'll build more around here later. It will end up looking more city-like with the complete absence of grass. So yeah, you just want to extend it out by 3. And what I'm going to do is leave this corner piece right here empty on all of them, because the goal is that, well, I'm thinking about it. The goal is to put like a support beam type thing here, kind of like this, running the entire length of the building. But I think it might be nicer if I did a, let's see, kind of like a 3x3 deal. Yeah, I think it'd be a lot nicer if I ran that all the way up the side of the building. So that's actually what I'm going to do, is build a 3x3. So I think what I'm going to do before I construct all of the balconies is build this 3x3 column, and you can leave it hollow in the center or not, depending on your personal taste. Of course, nobody's going to see it unless you break it out. It's just, it depends on how anal you want to be about details in your video, in your world. Sorry, brain's lagging a little bit. Anyways, don't forget that when you make these balconies, you want to make them 2 wide to match the windows. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead of all of this, and when I come back, all the balconies and the support beam thing right here, the 3x3 that I'm going to build on all the corners, will be finished, and next we will work on the windows after that. Alright, so now we got all the balconies and the support pillars done, and this building is really coming along now. We're just about done. Last thing we gotta do is kind of work on these balconies. Aesthetically speaking, what I'm going to do is take blue glass panes, and let's see, we'll add them right here. To add them to these balconies as sort of like a railing, and then for the actual windows themselves, since we will have to put a door here somewhere, it'll be kind of like there, for example, in a corner. So you have a couple options. You can do the whole thing as windows, or you can do just kind of like a, let's see, kind of like a space of 2 on each side, and then do the window all the way up. Let's see. Honestly, I don't know which one of these I think would look better, so I'm going to give them both a shot, and we can look at them and see which one we think looks better. Well, I'll see which one I think looks better. Of course, like all my videos, I'm not telling you concretely what to do. I'm giving you ideas. You are definitely allowed to take them, or you can kind of base your ideas off of them. You can build this with different materials. You can do a whole lot of different things. Just watching this video and using it as a guideline. Let's see. So on this one, I have a order of 1 block surrounding the whole thing. And on the other side, I have 1 block on the bottom and top, and 2 blocks on each side. Go ahead and fill in this theoretical doorway. Okay, so we have that as an option, or we have this as an option. I think this side looks better. I'm gonna go with the 1 and 1 border. I don't think it will look as good when you get the door in there. Let's see, probably iron doors I would assume are the best to use, even though you're gonna need to install a switch or a lever in order to operate them, but they seem to blend in pretty well. It looks a little out of place, but honestly, yeah, that's something. And I think if you did that door there and this one here, you ran up the whole building with them looking like that, that looks a little better. And just along the lines more of a actual apartment building, but of course, you know, it's Minecraft, so you don't have to be superficial and realistic with everything, just whatever you like. So I'm going to start, as far as my building process, by just clearing out all these windows, because I like to take one task at a time. It's really just whatever your building method is. You could, you know, you could just break these blocks and then put the windows in. I usually choose to do things and then come back to them later to perfect them, kind of the way that I built this whole building in just solid white, and then I'm coming back later now to break out windows for it. So I'm going to pause this recording now, and I will be back again after I have windows in for the entire building, and at that point we will go ahead and make the roof. Alright, so now we're here with all the windows built and all the balconies are in. Now, I'm going to leave this up to you guys as to how much of the building you want to actually complete. I know that I had previously said I was going to work on the roof next. What I'm going to go ahead and do is build the top floor first, because I'm going to get around to doing these floors later. That's going to be a big project, especially furnishing all the apartments, if that's what I choose to do. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and fill in the floor here. So what we're going to do to make the floor is literally just go ahead and fill this all in with white concrete, or whatever material it is you're using, because we had decided already earlier that what we were going to do with this building was do 2 wide for all the floors, so that the ceilings could all be white concrete or whatever material you choose to make them out of, and then the floors above could be something different, which would be jungle planks and the apartment units themselves, and then something else as far as for the hallway floors. So I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead, and when I have this all filled in white concrete, we will come back and do the floors. Okay, so now we've got the ceiling for the floor beneath filled in. Now we can work on actually laying the floor and building the walls up for all the units. So of course this is going to be the same process for every floor. I just figured that's something I'll get to later. So like I said, the stairwell I'm going to build at the end of any of these. I've not decided that yet, but when I do get there, what I'm going to do is just cut out a section of it like this, and I'm going to make a staircase that goes up here, then kind of does a U-shape and comes back up. But of course the stairs, ladders, whatever you want to do is going to be up to you. Just add your own little touches to this building. So if you remember, the hallways are going to be kind of a plus shape. So what I'm going to do is lay white concrete down, and that's going to signify to me where my walls are going to be for all the units. And I'm not measuring this out. Basically, you just build out as far as you want like that from each of these corners. And then right where it overlaps, just go ahead and knock out whatever's left. So you build these little white lines right here. These are going to signify where the walls are. That's why I built them in white. They won't be seen. And what I've settled on using for the hallways is going to be light gray concrete. And I know it's going to look a little rough when you are going up the stairs and there's just the little patch where it's all carved out and you can see the white and the gray where they meet. But the reason I think that this will look cool is because I did the whole bottom floor where the lobby and the offices will be with light gray concrete for the floor down there. And especially depending on the texture pack you get this booted up in. Right now I'm using just a regular, the default texture pack for Minecraft, simply so that I can show you guys what this building and what my city looks like without texture packs. But I'm usually either using the city building texture pack or the modern textures. But for the sake of my videos, I tend to turn those off just so you can get an idea. But, you know, the texture packs give you a whole bunch of different options for what you want things to look like, so they can really make it helpful when you're building a city. So now that I did that, I'm going to go ahead and lay down these jungle planks in every unit. And then I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording for this, and I will come back when all the units have the jungle planks for the floors. Alright, now we have the floors completed, and if you remember back to the beginning of the video with the outline, this building is looking exactly like that outline did. So now what we want to do is build the walls up, and I'm going to build them 7 high. That way, when I get ready to do the roof, I can just go ahead and knock it all out. So I'm going to build these all 7 high, and we'll worry about adding doors and whatnot later. At the end of this video, I'll show you a concept for how you could decorate this unit, because I'm going to build the roof after we finish setting this up, and I'm going to come down here, furnish one of these units, and give you just an idea of what you can do with this space. It may not be the biggest space, but the reason that I built it 7 high instead of 2 or 3 or whatever else you might need to actually just be able to stand up in it is because I'm figuring with an apartment of this size, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and add some lofts to it. So we have plenty of space to do that, plenty of space for whatever else we might want. And even if you want, honestly, you could make this top floor 8 high instead of 7, because I mean, it's just whether or not you want to have 2 layers for your roof. I would recommend having 2 layers for your roof because it continues the same pattern with the lights and whatnot that I wanted to keep up, where you can put the light flush with the ceiling and you can't see them through the roof. So that's what I would recommend doing, unless you want to have exposed lights or whatever else you might want to do. You could make this top floor taller. You could honestly make any of these taller. You don't have to follow along with this directly. This is more of just a, hey, look what I'm doing over here, and maybe you can get some ideas from it. But I'm going to go ahead and pause this recording, and we will come back when I finally have all these walls built. Alright, so now I've finished all the walls, and what I've done is just lay an idea of the lighting concept in here. What I want to do is have this plus kind of, but what I decided I'm going to do is kind of cut out the center right here and leave this in just white concrete so that the lights don't intersect. I think it would look nicer just to have the row of lights going down. And this is how I've decided to light all my units, is with 3 strips of sea lanterns. So I put the door right here smack dab in the center. If you followed along with my build, it's going to be the 7th block in. So you got 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 right here. This is where the door is going to be. And as you can see, it's decently well lit in here, but it looks like it did not work out the way I intended because I didn't do my measurements right. Kind of want them to be completely separated like that, and just kind of freestanding light rows. And this is all just going to be up to you. It's however you want it to look. And of course, once I get this furnished, there will be other sources of light in here. So I know it's a little dim right now, but that will be looking better after I get this completely set up. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is show you how to do that light setup right there. So you want to build this wall for whatever unit you're doing up to the level of the sea lanterns, which will be the first layer of the ceiling / floor. And then you want to go ahead and build a strip of concrete that's 1 block wide, just following the entire perimeter of the apartment unit itself. So once you've done that, what you want to do is lay 1 row of sea lanterns on that side and 1 on this side. And then it's going to be 3 rows of white concrete on each side. And that should leave you with 1 row in the center that you've put nothing in, and that will also be sea lanterns. Let me go down and see if that worked out the way that I wanted it to. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is going to be the door. So there we go. That's what it'll look like. And that's how I'm going to do all the lights for these units right here. So I'm going to go ahead and get these lights all set up. And then when I come back, we'll have the lights set up. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like when everything's filled in and the lights are there. Then I'm going to finish by filling in the entire roof. Alright, now here's the setup with all the lights in their place and where they should go. And as pretty as this looks, I'm going to go ahead and fill it in. Now, usually, because we just did the light layer, what we would do is set up the walls, put in the jungle planks, and whatever else you wanted to use for the floors. But because this is the roof of the building, I'm going to lay all white concrete. And for me, I'm going to start by filling in these little alcoves right here. And I'm just going to focus on just laying it all down. Eventually, I'm going to add a rooftop access whenever I decide where I'm going to put my staircase that goes through the whole thing. So the rooftop access will just be a real simple white concrete box that comes up through the roof and has a door onto it. And you can go ahead and snazz up this roof however you want, add some AC units, whatever else you want to do. But for the sake of this video and the simplicity of just building a simple building with high customization options, so you can choose to do whatever you want. I'm just going to keep this building pretty cookie cutter and leave all the customization up to you guys to do whatever you want. So I'm going to go ahead and end this, and we will be right back after I finish filling this in. And when I come back, I will show you guys what a finished unit looks like. Alright, so now we have our building completely done on the outside. Like I said, for the sake of this tutorial, I've skipped on doing most of the inside, so that's a project that we'll be finishing soon. But we finished the roof like I showed you last time, just complete blank white, which of course I'll probably end up adding rooftop access and some other details up there later, but that's up to you. This is what a unit looks like when it's undone, and what I've done is set up one unit in a quick, simple setup that I just did in a couple minutes. Didn't really take much time to actually set it up anyway special. So let's go ahead and see the hallway. So this is the door I used, dark oak, I believe. So, well, I gotta redo that because I forgot to replace that block with light gray concrete. So when you come in, I've added some paintings, a little kitchen area that's nothing special, just a cauldron and a cake on the counter. Threw up paintings just all over the apartment. Here we have a jukebox and some bookshelves that are underneath the stairs to the loft. I built a couple support beams and walls here to kind of make it more apartment-ish, but kind of leave it with a quote-unquote open concept. So there's just some paintings around, and I've set up an iron door with pressure plates for the jungle plank floor. I put a jungle plate, and then I put an iron plate out there so you can come and go as you want onto the balcony with a nice view of the city. And what we have here is a couch, kind of, that is made out of black wool here and stone slabs here, smooth stone slabs, I believe, and a TV that apparently is playing the Atari. And up here on the loft is just a couple paintings and a bed with a makeshift nightstand. And you have all the wonderful view of your city that you could ever want in this apartment. So there's so many ways to set this up, but the reason I built it so tall was so that I could add a loft. And from the outside, even though this looks like it probably looked like a mess, it looks pretty cool through the window. So if you get every unit furnished and set up in different ways, this building would be pretty sweet, and it would end up making just a great addition to anybody's city, I think. And, you know, if it's not your kind of building or whatever, don't worry about that, because I will be back with more, show you how to make even more buildings. But for now, that's the end of this, and hopefully you guys like this building, and hopefully you built it in your city, or at least some form of it. And, you know, for my first tutorial, I hope that I didn't butcher this too bad. It was relatively easy to follow, but that said, thanks for watching.